We live. We are starting. Is there? Hey everybody. You there? You with us? You joining the club? You excited? Yeah. All right. Hey everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Consider This Movie Show, the Marvel Cinematic Universe edition. Today we will be talking about all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, new Marvel movies in the last 6 years. It's a very exciting times in the world of superhero movies right now.
So like my lovely partner Tim here mentioned, tonight we're going to be ranking all 14 now Marvel films.
14?
In addition, we're going to be doing a live review of Doctor Strange.
Many.
I know, it's a lot. We're going to be doing a live review of Doctor Strange, and after the review, you'll have a chance to win your own copy of the latest Marvel movie, Captain America Civil War. So stay tuned for that.
I don't need a civil war. That, right?
That one.
That. All right.
And we're also going to be talking about movie news,
Movie news.
upcoming movies at the box office, and last weekend's box office, and it's going to be a good time. I think we'll have a good time. Don't you?
Yep.
All right, with that said, let's jump right into our...
Strange.
Very. We're going to jump right into our news today. Our first piece of news comes from DC.
DC.
DC's been having...
But today's Marvel.
I know, today's Marvel, but we're gonna be fair and give DC a little bit of the spotlight. DC's been having
Fine.
kind of a rough year, and it's only been made rougher because the director they chose for The Flash, Rick Fumiyama,
Fukuyama.
Funky Mama, I think. He directed Dope, like a year and a half ago.
It's a movie about dope.
It's about dope, some dope kids living a dope life, and they're like,
And
you know what? He'd be a dope director for The Flash. So he's been working on that for, I guess, some time now, and either they decided or he decided over creative differences it wasn't working out, and now he's gone. And it's just another piece of bad news for DC, honestly.
That's what happens when studios try to tell good directors what to do.
Yeah, and DC is really in need of good directors.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder...
They don't need money, though. They've been making good money.
They've been making good money, but Zack Snyder is a good visual guy, but his movies have been not great. Who they just have direct... The name slipped my mind, but
The Suicide Squad
Suicide
guy?
Squad director, David Ayer. He
Oh,
is...
good work.
He's a hit or miss guy. I think every other movie of his ends up being good. And Suicide Squad wasn't one of those.
Odd man out.
With Marvel, or with DC, again, announcing like better directors for their movies, like Patty Jenkins is working on Wonder Woman, and Rick
Nice.
Fumiyama, or whatever. And they also have Aquaman is being made by your boy, the Conjuring director, James Wan. It's good
Wan,
to have
my
good directors
boy.
under your belt, but when you see someone like this guy leaving, it doesn't give you too much hope for the Flash. I mean, from what we saw of him in the Justice League trailer, he seems like he'd be a cool character. So I was hoping to see a nice take on that from this director, but unfortunately he's out.
We'll see the next yes man from DC that makes the Flash.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited for Ghostfish racing cars with Aquaman, based on James Wan's previous films.
Oh yeah. Vin Diesel might make an appearance.
Yeah.
The Rock might play a rock underwater, a boulder.
And there will be a poltergeist.
Did he make Poltergeist?
No, but that's just another name for Ghost.
That's true. Okay. So on to
just like
our
the word.
next bit of news. We're back to Marvel, but not Marvel Studios, which we'll be talking about later. Marvel, the Fox version.
Deadpool.
So as we heard roughly a week ago, Tim Miller, the previous director of Deadpool, he's on his way out.
No. Okay.
But they found a new director. The guy who made John Wick, one of the directors of John Wick, David Leitch.
More than one director.
Yeah, I think John Wick had 2 directors. It might have been an action guy and a story guy, because the action in that movie was pretty good.
Like what Zack Snyder needs.
Yeah, Zack Snyder needs someone to just reel him in, honestly. But he was just hired to work on the new Deadpool 2. And what do you think? Do you think this bodes well for Deadpool? Do you think the director has much effect in the movies? Give us your thoughts.
I haven't seen John Wick. It sounds like it would be a good action guy. We'll see how it translates with the comedy. I kind of hope that he gets to take his own spin on things, but also try to make it funny and just really new, kind of like Deadpool felt. Just different, not just a standard kind of action movie.
I think if the script gives him a lot of good comedy to work with, we'll have a funny movie.
Yeah, that's true. It will largely depend on the script.
And the way the action turned out in John Wick was very cool. It was a very realistic action movie, which I think fits with Deadpool's rated R. You don't have to tone the action down at all.
Yeah, that's really good.
So it could be nice
Good
to
to
see
know.
what he does there. Yeah, I think it's a good choice. Again, with this movie, I think the bigger decisions come down to Ryan Reynolds' creative choices and the writers, the jokes they come up with, and the material they pretty much give all the actors to work with is going to be slightly more important in this kind of movie than the director would be. And say like a Oscar-worthy movie where the director really has to put every part together perfectly.
That's true.
And this one, he just kind of has to make sure things work.
Yeah.
And I think he can be trusted with that. Also,
Just do your job.
speaking about Deadpool, just a slight piece of news. Junkie XL, who composed the first Deadpool movie, in
Is
solidarity.
that a dude? Is that people? Is that a group?
I think it's
Is that a
one guy, and
company?
he goes by the name Junkie XL. I think that's his shtick.
Is that like X gonna give it to you? That
Yeah,
guy?
it's like
Okay.
that's not him,
That's
but
okay, great.
I'm sure he had a say in that song being in the score because
Okay.
he was responsible.
Score.
He worked on Mad Max. He worked on
Ooh.
Batman vs Superman. He has a few other movies under his belt, but those are two recent ones. And Deadpool. But with Deadpool, I didn't really notice the score more than I noticed the soundtrack. The
I
soundtrack,
didn't notice there was a score at all. I
yeah,
just noticed the soundtrack.
The maximum effort is Deadpool's theme. I remember hearing that one. Yeah, I don't know. I think him leaving the movie isn't gonna hurt it, as long as they get access to more public songs, more well-known like pop culture music, maybe a little more, Careless Whisper, a little more DMX.
You mean you don't just want Back in Black and all those types of songs that they have in Suicide Squad? Just
No, Suicide Squad
the
was overkill.
stadium music?
Yeah, I think if they bring a composer on who does give Deadpool more of a theme, that'd be cool. This one very sparsely used it, I thought, but that's just another bit of Deadpool
Right.
news.
I think the thing about Deadpool is a soundtrack probably fits much better in that than a score. Because it's
Yeah.
not this big epic action movie that you need some really awesome music to just get you pumped like instrumentally. It's more just like, oh, this cool thing's happening now. Which song that you've heard in the last 50 years is going to suit it?
Right. That does make sense. So again, I'm hoping they pick some good songs, but they don't overdo it with the songs like they did in Suicide Squad. One of the songs that was very heavily featured in Suicide Squad was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, which gets us to our next bit of news. They're making a Freddie Mercury biopic.
That's how you do a segue.
Oh, yeah. We worked really hard on that one. Freddie Mercury biopic. Bryan Singer is set to direct. Rami Malek, I believe that's how you say his name, from I Am Robot, and I think he was in one of the recent Night at the Museum movies. He's set to play
Great.
Freddie Mercury. Have you seen him in anything? What do you think? Do you think he'll be a good fit?
I have not seen him in anything. I do like Bryan Singer and what he's done for the X-Men movies. So, pretty excited for that. I think it's got a lot of potential.
He's a good director, yeah.
Freddie Mercury's life has a lot to work with. So,
It's definitely biopic worthy.
Yeah.
If they focus more on him and less on the band, because Sacha Baron Cohen was originally attached to play Freddie Mercury. I thought he would have been a great choice.
Whoa.
The problem with that was he wanted an R-rated movie that dealt a lot with
Yeah.
Freddie's inner demons. And the band kind of vetoed that. They're like, we don't want to do that. We want a movie that focuses more on the good stuff, which
He wanted to make like a Borat about Freddie Mercury.
I think he was comfortable exploring the depths of Freddie Mercury's darkest parts, which in the 80s, like the dealing with AIDS and the homosexuality, it probably got like pretty dark or graphic, and
At some
Sacha Baron
point, yeah.
Cohen I think would have done a good job with that, but the band really wasn't having it. I think their original idea for it was they wanted the first half of the movie to be about Freddie, but the second half of the movie to be about the band
Queen.
post Freddie. And
Oh,
Sacha Baron
no.
Cohen again was just like, I'm not having
Again,
that, man.
it's not a Freddie Mercury movie if half the movie's not about Freddie
Exactly.
Mercury.
What makes me excited is they're calling this a Freddie Mercury biopic, and
Yeah.
they didn't mention any involvement from the band. So
That's good.
I think we could get something cool. And Rami looks the part. I mean, I'm sure he's fine. I've seen an episode of Mr. Robot. Apparently, it's a great show. I guess if you guys watch it at home, let us know if you love it. I think we should check it out. But
Okay. And again, I don't think a movie about Queen would be bad. I'm just saying it's Freddie Mercury's movie now. And they've done a lot of good movies about bands. I'm sure they'll make a lot more.
right,
Right now, biopics are a thing. They're a pretty big thing.
They're pretty hot,
Yeah.
especially announcing this around Oscar season gives us hope that they're hoping
Oh.
to push this for upcoming Oscar seasons.
Is it gonna make it that quick?
They could be ready by next year. I don't know. The
By, like,
production
This
levels on.
February? Oh no!
By
you said
the
it just got-
following-
following Oscar
following
season.
winter season.
I
Yeah.
was like, there's no way I would make it for this season. But
So those are our favorite pieces of movie news this week. Like Tim mentioned earlier, it hasn't been a very dense week of movie
No.
news. I think we're coming closer to the Oscar season, so the movie news is dying down in favor of Oscar buzz. But when we get hot news, we'll be the first to tell you
Oh yeah. Well, we'll be the first to tell you in that week.
in that week.
Yeah.
We might honestly be the last to tell you, but we'll tell
But
it to
we
you
will
best.
tell you within the week, and we'll be the most excited.
We'll be very
if,
excited.
if it's good.
Look how excited he is about a Freddie Mercury biopic, Tim.
We are the champions,
All right, moving on from news to trailer talk,
which is part of news.
it's part of news.
Part of news.
The trailers give you more
First
information about a
reactions.
movie than some articles could really.
That's true.
And a great trailer we saw last night. I guess I'm giving away my opinion already. A great trailer we saw last night was Wonder Woman.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
From last night's
No,
movie.
no major spoilers in the trailer. Let's talk about the trailer. Were you excited about Wonder Woman before this trailer?
Wonder Woman? No, I wasn't.
Batman vs Superman didn't ramp up your excitement for this movie? No?
It was like, here's a girl. She's kind of strong. We're gonna throw her in this thing for no reason. Great.
Yeah, I don't think she belonged in Batman vs Superman.
No.
And they announced her movie, and I was like, whatever. The first trailer came out. I wasn't very interested.
No.
This trailer came out, and I'm hyped.
It looks like a female version of Captain America. It's set in World War One. She looks cool. Chris Pine's in it.
The cast is great. The
Yeah.
cast looks great. The director looks like she's doing a good job. It kind of reminded me sort of Tomb Raider when they were having that big battle and they were bow and arrowing through the
there's like-
trees.
It's like Planet of the Apes meets Captain America Civil War. Or Captain America the First Avenger.
First Avenger.
Yeah.
Okay. Why Planet of the Apes? What gives you
Or
that?
like just this big battle between two different people. I don't know. That's the most recent big
That's
battle
what the
movie
battle
that
reminded
I've
you. Yeah.
liked.
So if you guys haven't seen the trailer, check it out. The trailer starts with a battle between humankind and the Atlanteans or whatever
Or,
Wonder Woman
the
is.
Amazonians.
Amazonians, yeah.
I think that's it.
And Chris Pine shows up and he's like, "We need your help. There's the war to end all wars, or so they thought. World War
War One, the Great War.
You could tell by the one in the title that it wasn't the war to end all wars.
Yeah.
And this won't be the movie to end all Wonder Woman movies because I guarantee that this movie will be popular enough to warrant a sequel or more Wonder Woman appearances.
Wonder Woman comes out before Justice League,
Yeah, Wonder
correct.
Woman comes out sometime this summer. I want to say June.
but it's like a kind of just an establishing movie for her character, essentially.
Pretty much, it's giving you more backstory than
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman was like the appetizer. They're like, here's a good set of boneless wings. Here's 3
Yeah.
boneless wings. But if you want the whole boneless meal, you gotta wait till June 2017 to see the movie.
You want fries and a shake with that? You gotta wait.
You gotta pay double ticket prices for Wonder Woman in IMAX 3D or whatever.
Ooh.
The trailer looked good. The action looks very well
Yeah.
directed. There were some like nods to the original Superman when she's in disguise and she saves Chris Pine in an alleyway. That's kind of
that's
of cute. It's a nod to classic DC. It looks brighter than the other DC
Yeah, it
movies
doesn't.
we've seen.
Well, the older stuff looks a little darker, but still not just gray.
Yeah, I think the older stuff is kind of toned down to look old, like black and white
so
sepia
that's why I
tone.
didn't really notice.
But when you see Wonder Woman in her outfit, or you see her with the other Amazonians, it looked really cool. I liked it.
her bright blue doesn't look navy blue.
So let's say we
That's
were
nice.
rating the trailer out of 10. What kind of score would you give this?
I'd probably give it a
On-
9.
10 being I cannot wait to see the movie.
Oh.
1 being I don't really
just based on
care.
everything about the movie, then maybe like a 7 or an 8. Probably an 8.
The trailer got me excited enough to see a movie that I was not very excited to see. So I'm
See-
gonna match your 8 right there.
Based on DC's track record, though, I gotta wait for the movie itself. Even if a second trailer looks really
You
good.
do have to wait for the movie, but as a
Like,
trailer, it's a good.
I'm not gonna get my hopes up until I see it, but I might
That's true.
see it.
That's like the third Batman Superman trailer. The final one was
Yeah.
great. It was like a 10 out of 10 trailer. I was so excited to see the movie. But the one before that was when they spoiled Doomsday for us, and that's just like
oh yeah,
the worst kind of trailer. And this trailer isn't
no
spoiled.
spoilers.
No spoilers.
Really?
It gets you excited to see the movie. It kind of tells you a little bit about what the story is going to be about. It gives you who's in the movie, like Chris Pine, who looks cool.
Yeah.
So that was good. Now moving on to our second trailer. What else did we see today?
We saw the Lego Batman movie trailer. I loved the Lego movie.
The Lego
Just to
movie
say
was
that.
really
It was
funny.
awesome.
It was way better than
It was,
it should have been, I think.
it was like cute, funny, imaginative. Like it looked great. It sounded great. It was just really fun to watch.
It was very clever too. Like it
Yeah.
was smartly made.
A lot
It-
of good jokes.
And it's I always expect movies like that to be kid movies.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, the movies that come to the mainstream like that are usually family movies, and this is like a definition of a great family movie. Kids can enjoy it, teenagers can enjoy it, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, they can all enjoy this movie. Which gets me excited for Lego Batman the movie because it looks like it's taking everything we loved from the first movie, throwing Batman into the mix.
yeah.
The humor is great.
It's just the whole Batman world, but it honestly looks like a comedy. Like, I mean, you
Oh,
can't
this
really
trailer
make a
is
Lego
hilarious.
action movie, but there's going to be a lot of jokes, and I think it's going to be really good.
So from what we get from the trailer, the premise is Batman is feeling lonely.
Batman is the star of the world. Everyone loves
Everybody
him.
loves
He's
Batman.
like a super celebrity.
But on the inside, he's a little bit lonely, or Alfred thinks he's a little bit lonely, and he's like, you got to take care of this orphan you took in.
And his kid is Michael Cera.
Michael Cera plays Robin, and Robin is Batman's adopted son. And I think the story is just them learning to bond and dealing with Batman's life, and Batman dealing with Robin's problems. And Batman's life includes fun characters like the Joker.
The Joker seems to be really mad that Batman is not going steady with him as like a villain hero type.
Yeah,
duo.
Batman's no longer putting all his attention into the Joker. He's focusing
He's trying to
on,
see other people.
Yeah, he's focusing on other villains. He's focusing on his new adopted son, and
Yeah.
Joker is not really having it. And that was really funny. Honestly,
Yeah, right? That's hilarious.
my favorite part of the trailer was when we were just talking about Batman messing around with other villains, and they cut to Batman fighting Superman, and everyone's like, "Wait, Superman's not a villain." It was a nice jab at Batman versus Superman,
Yeah, right?
and how it was a bad movie. So I think this movie's gonna have a lot of meta humor.
It'll be just like the Lego movie where it doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Yeah.
And it just makes fun of everything.
It makes fun of everything, including itself.
But like subtly,
Mhm.
you know? It's not like, haha, you suck, this movie.
This movie, unlike Wonder Woman for me, every trailer I've seen has got me very excited.
Yes.
I don't really want to see more. I know I'm going to see the movie.
Yeah.
They've earned my ticket. My
but
butt's,
you know they're going to make another one.
they're gonna make another one, and we're probably gonna end up seeing it. But my butt's in the seat already. This trailer was funny.
Yeah.
I laughed. The trailer cut around between like 3 or 4 different songs, just like back-to-back pop hits. I guess it's just to grab your attention. But otherwise, this is to me a 9 out of 10 trailer. I can't wait to see the movie. They have my ticket. Parts of it were a little too much. Maybe jokes I could have waited to see in the theater. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm happy. What about
Okay,
you?
then I'll respect that 9 because I was thinking what was wrong with it, but yeah, it might have given just a little bit too much away in terms of jokes. I don't think those are going to be the funniest and like only jokes that
Mhm.
are good in the movie, like some trailers have done for
Yeah.
comedies. But again, that was a really funny thing that could have been one of the better jokes that they spoiled. So I'll give it a 9.
9?
Yeah.
That's 9s all around, which averages to a 9 if you've taken your math classes. And with that said, we're going to move on to our review section of the show. This week, we're reviewing Doctor Strange.
Woo!
We ended up seeing it last night, but just a little bit of context about this review section. Typically, every week, we have this thing called our grab bag. It's 150 movies or so that
That's a
we
lot.
bought at a closing video store this summer for how much? Like $20-ish?
$20.
$20.
We
And
watched them all that day.
we couldn't watch them all in a week, I don't think, if we tried. There's a lot of movies.
We couldn't
But
watch
our
them all
goal
in a month.
here is every week we're going to pick a random movie from that grab bag.
Yeah.
We're going to watch them together, or we're going to watch them separately. But also both of us will have seen it by that week. We're going to
Yes.
watch them, we're going to review them, and we're going to give it away to you. This week,
Or me.
or we'll keep it. If Tim loves the movie enough, he's going to fight you.
If
for
I
it.
win, I'm gonna enter against you guys every week. So that entices more of you to get in on it.
Yeah, it gives you some competition. You got to fight for it.
But we're gonna review Doctor Strange right now. Unfortunately, we can't give that away yet because that's illegal.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is give away the next best thing, a copy of Captain America: Civil War, the most recent Marvel movie.
That's right. Tim said it
That's
here first.
out on Blu-ray.
You're going to get a digital copy of Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
All you have to do to enter is
Like,
stay through the end of the review, and then you're going to...
like, subscribe, comment, on this video.
Like Tim said, we want you to leave a like, a comment, and a subscription. The comment could be anything, but we'd prefer some criticism, constructive criticism.
Or compliments.
Or compliments, if we did good. If we did well.
If we did something.
If we were heroic.
Something to make you happy.
That being said, shall we jump into our Doctor Strange live review? So we saw Doctor Strange last night. Doctor Strange is Marvel's 14th entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It follows Dr. Stephen Strange, a cocky, arrogant surgeon who's on top of the world.
He's good.
He's a
real
superstar
good.
surgeon, and his number one tool are his steady hands. But he gets into a car crash. His hands do this all the time, and he's not having it. Western medicine isn't helping him.
And that's all we're going to say about the movie.
So he goes to
So you don't get really upset.
He goes to Eastern medicine
No.
to learn
No
the
more
ways
spoilers.
of sorcery, and that's when things get exciting.
Exciting.
So Tim, Doctor Strange, you like it? You hate it?
I'm going to start from the very beginning. The movie had me hooked. First quarter of the movie, awesome, excellent. You get to know the characters. You get to know the premise of at least their lives and their personalities. It was a really good just world builder, story builder. I was hooked. I loved it. And then the action happens.
The action in this movie is actually really cool. They
Yeah.
do a lot of mind-bending visual effects. We're building ship-shape into different forms. They're falling over. Streets are bending over. Cities, things are formed into like optical illusions that couldn't exist. So that part I liked.
Yeah.
The action looked cool. It wasn't executed that great. It was kind of sloppy. You couldn't follow what was going on too well the whole time. I thought
I thought the effects were really good.
technically and visually, it's a very
like the
well-made film.
CG and all the visual digital effects were done really, really well.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I thought the score was great.
The score by Michael Giacchino. You get a Doctor Strange theme, I believe. I like that.
Yes.
We get
Sounds kind of like Avengers.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if some of the songs were like his new theme or like nods to the Avengers and a different like studio instrument. Maybe you'd know. Being a
I'd
music
say
guy.
it was just had a similar feel to
There's
the
a lot of
Avengers
nods to the
in
Marvel
music.
previous Marvel
Yeah.
films. Like Tim was saying, the beginning hooks you. You learn a lot about the character and his relationship with other surgeons,
It
people
was
at
a
the hospital.
drama. It was like a really good
Yeah,
drama.
there's not. This movie doesn't really reference the other Avengers films
We were
much,
watching Grey's Anatomy
which is nice. It did feel like ER or Grey's Anatomy, right?
or House. It was
That's
kind
a
of
good
House.
one. It was kind of House. His character was
Yeah.
very similar to House. You get a lot of interaction with other characters. You learn about Doctor Strange's like personality, and then when he makes his quest to learn the mystic arts of magic and such,
It slows.
it slows down. I think this movie's biggest flaw is it's very exposition heavy. It's okay to have exposition in a movie like this. You're dealing with magic and other realms and things we don't have in the real world. So it's good to explain the rules of this universe. But they over-explain.
I didn't notice the over explanation so much other than characters trying to explain to other characters what their personalities are like instead of it just kind of flowing naturally.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying how Doctor Strange acts or how a character in the film is
Yeah.
personality-wise, right?
Yeah, there's just too much explanation of that. I shouldn't need someone to tell me that. You should just be able to see it, which you could clearly see it.
Show, don't tell, right?
Yeah.
And same with the exposition. You don't need to explain every bit of how magic works. Just show me him doing one piece of sorcery or him using an item, and I'll latch on to what the item does. I don't need a 1 minute long person explaining to Doctor Strange, hey, this item does this and that and this.
See,
and this.
that kind of helped me out. I don't mind that so much because that I may have needed, and I'm sure a lot of people would have needed to kind of stay on track with it. I understand why you don't like that, but I don't pay attention as good as you.
Maybe. I mean, the average viewer, the explanations are necessary for an average viewer who may have not seen other Marvel films,
Yeah, that's
or
true,
might not
too.
even be familiar with like time loops or multiverses or sorcery and
Yeah.
things like that. The explanations work fine, but there's just 2-3 minute long scenes where they're explaining to Doctor Strange what's going on, and that kind of slowed the pacing down for me. But
And another thing they do over-explain is the jokes.
the
Ever since Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel movies have just tried to just put a lot of comedy in. Guardians of the Galaxy, it worked. You had Chris Pratt. Ant-Man, it worked. You had Michael Pena, and you had
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. He's a very funny guy. And even in Civil War, they didn't do it. They did it a little bit because all the people kind of know each other and can rip on each other. But Civil War didn't need it as much. This movie wasn't a comedy. It's not meant to be a comedy. But
Yeah.
they tried to force the jokes on you.
Not
and then
very-
they tried to explain them to you.
No comedic veterans in this movie, like the
Yeah.
ones you were naming, and the jokes are insanely hit or miss.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some that just miss
I
entirely.
think most of them missed, to be
A
honest.
couple hit for me. I did laugh
Yeah,
a few
no,
times,
I did
and the
laugh a
audience
little
was
bit.
laughing a few times. But like you said, the jokes, either they go on, the camera pans too long, or the pacing kills the joke, or they're like trying to explain why things should be funny.
Because Benedict Cumberbatch, he's generally funny. Like, he's quippy. Like, he does these little, like,
he was
jokes here
almost
and
a
there.
quippy guy. Yeah, he was very arrogant, and his brash attitude could come off as funny sometimes.
But then he's like, hey, that's funny. Or, hey, why didn't you laugh at that? Come on, guys.
Yeah,
And that's just too much.
that sometimes worked for me, like I mentioned earlier, and sometimes it just
I
missed
think it
entirely.
worked like the first time.
The
but they
first
did
few
it too
times, right?
much.
If you repeat a joke, it's not gonna go out well.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we're hating on this movie. Did you hate this movie? Are there things you
No,
like?
I didn't hate this movie. Not at all.
What are some of the
I-
things you like?
Like I said, I like the action. I like the effects. I think it worked really well. What I did like was the premise of this movie. It's all about time and space, and you can use that uniqueness to your advantage. Like, it thought of some very unique ways to show fights, to get in and out of fights, to create conflicts, and again, to get out of certain conflicts without trying to give anything away from the movie. I think they did use the time and space thing creatively, but I do think they need to establish better boundaries in this world of what, like, the certain rules of the time and space
That was
continuum that
one
you
of
can
my
use.
issues with not this movie in particular, but this movie as a whole in the Avengers universe. Now that they've
Yeah.
brought in this time and space bending, like, rule change, it kind of changes the dynamic of how other Avengers movies work. Because if Doctor Strange can manipulate the astral realm, which is a common thing in the comic books for his character, but being able to do that might affect how outcomes work out in other Avengers movies. So I'm interested to see how they incorporate that
Yeah.
into other movies without it being overpowered. But like you were
Mhm.
saying, the fights, they do incorporate a lot of that stuff into it. This is one of Marvel's unique movies, which I like. Marvel takes risks.
Oh, definitely.
They try different things, and this was definitely different, and it worked
Yeah.
for me for the most part.
Yeah. It
Even
worked.
the ending of the movie, I'm not going to say how it ends, but a lot of superhero movies lately end with a beam in the sky, a big giant guy you just got to beat to death, and that's all. I'm not going to say how this one ends, but they have a little clever take on how they beat the villain, and it's very exciting. That being said, the villain in this movie, played by Mads Mikkelsen, doesn't really get much to do here. He's another one of Marvel's weaker villains, I think. He
Yeah.
just didn't work for me.
I did like his character, but
His character was menacing. I thought he was a little
Yeah.
bit scary, but overall, you don't get much to his story. This is very much a Doctor Strange movie and his
Mhm.
growth. Speaking of his growth, I feel like this movie glanced over a lot. It's supposed to be,
Yeah.
he's supposed to be a guy who's very smart and very in touch with his sorcery, and through tons of training, he becomes the guy we know as Doctor Strange. But the movie kind of glances over that bit and just jumps right into, hey, Doctor Strange is Doctor Strange now, as you know him from the comics.
yeah.
So it was a little too fast for me. Did you feel that way?
I just felt it never felt fast to me. It never felt like too slow either, but I just felt like there were a lot of things that, like, they didn't tie up loose ends, and not in like a Marvel type of way where, like, oh, Hulk left at the end of one of the movies and you don't know where he is, but you got him leaving.
But you'll
There's
find out
certain-
eventually,
yeah,
right?
exactly. There's certain relationships in this movie and certain things that they try to explain to you, and at the end, in particular, one relationship
Mm-hmm.
between two people that doesn't really get fleshed out at the end.
Yeah,
and
they
you're just
over-explain some things, and then some things
kinda, and then
they leave
under-explain.
completely
Yeah,
left out. I agree with you. That being said, I do think you should check this movie out.
yeah. No, it's
If
good.
you-
If you're a Marvel fan, definitely check it out. I think you will enjoy it.
It's not Marvel's best, but I don't think I'd put it at Marvel's worst. really.
Marvel hasn't. The Marvel MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, has not made a bad movie.
Bad movie, really. This is another good one.
It's pretty good.
If you can see it in 3D, I recommend it in 3D.
3D was
the
pretty
effects are
cool.
pretty
The-
mind-bending. It's kind of like an acid trip.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying it's kind of cool.
Yeah, there are
in that way.
certain parts that are just get really, really intense with the 3D. And certain parts you won't notice, but it's one of the better 3D movies out
Mhm.
there.
So the effects are great, the visuals are great, and It's a good movie. I could watch it again, definitely.
Yeah, the story's not bad. Again, loved the beginning. There's a lot of good stuff in this movie.
I like the addition of a new, lesser-known character like Doctor Strange, kind of like Ant-Man
Yeah.
was lesser-known to the universe. I'd like to see where he goes. They hint a little bit about where he'll be in future films or how he'll tie in, which is kind of exciting.
Which is really cool. Definitely stay for those end credits as usual.
Yeah, there's 2 end credit scenes. Like typically there's
few.
one, but yeah, stay for the mid credits and all the way through the credits. You'll see some cool stuff involving our
So,
characters.
in my personal favorite second end credit scene,
Yeah, you liked it a lot.
it has more content than you generally expect from the very end credit scene.
It's less of a throwaway, right? It kind of ties more into the story.
Because most of the more recent ones have just been throwaway, like 10 seconds of nothing that matters, just something kind of cool.
All right, now that we've given our opinion, it's time for the big finale. What are you gonna score this movie out of 10?
I liked it. I liked certain parts. There are certain parts that left me disappointed. I can't quite put it in that 8 range. I'm gonna give it a 7.9.
7.9. Ooh, right on the tip of 8. It just didn't make it there for you.
It's very close.
Yeah,
If I watch it again, it may drift into that 8 range depending on how I feel about it. But
yeah, I think a second viewing could help tie some things up, maybe that weren't
or
explained too much.
it could accentuate its flaws too.
It could accentuate the flaws, but I'm in the same area as you are. The movie didn't hit high scores for me. There's been better Marvel films. I think out of 10, this movie is, again, I think you should go watch it. It's definitely great in 3D. The effects are good. The story's fun to watch. But
Cumberbatch does a good job, I have to say. Cumberbatch and the girl, Tilda Swinton, I always forget her name.
so since I
She was
enjoyed
pretty good.
3/4 of the movie, that was 3/4 well made. My
Okay.
score is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. That puts our average at a 7.7 if anyone's interested. But yeah.
Which for Metacritic is a very good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Again,
Yeah.
we don't think it's a bad movie, but just not one of Marvel's higher movies. That being said, we're very excited Doctor Strange is in the universe, and
Yeah.
maybe he'll be part of the next Civil War.
He does some cool stuff, and I am very excited to see how they use him.
Yeah,
I can see them abusing him or not using him enough, but I can also see it working out really, really well for them.
now if Doctor Strange was in the Civil War movie, which team do you think he'd be on?
Oh, good question. I think he would be on Iron Man's side just because right now he's kind of under a governing body that needs to, like,
Needs to follow
basically
the
he's
rules?
like, you need to follow the rules.
Right.
That's kind of
I was gonna say he wants to be on Scarlet Witch's side so they can both kind of discuss their magic together. Because where does Scarlet Witch get her powers from? They could be. That could tie into each other.
She
So
could have been at
I'm
the
thinking
place.
Team Captain. You're thinking Team
Okay.
Iron Man?
I'm
But
thinking Team Iron Man.
speaking of Civil War, guys, remember that if you like, comment, subscribe this video,
Like, comment,
we'll pick
subscribe.
somebody at random, and you could win your own copy of Civil War. So
Frozen.
Doctor Strange is.
We froze. We
Four-
froze 2 minutes ago.
Did we?
Apparently.
This says we're fine. No, we're fine. So Doctor Strange is Marvel's 14th film. 14 films in 8 years. 2008 was Iron Man. So how do you think it
movies.
holds up next to all of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films? We'll talk about that a little bit. Let's go back 8 years in time. Back when Obama was just about to be nominated president. Back when the Marvel Cinematic Universe wasn't a thing. Nobody was thinking about Iron Man and Thor teaming up. Nobody was thinking about Captain America.
We just wanted the next Batman and Superman
Yeah,
movies.
Dark Knight was on the horizon. We were very excited for DC, and we didn't care about Marvel. But then a big
How the tides have
how
turned.
tides have changed. But then a big shockwave hit us all when Iron Man came out and shook the world. Did you like Iron Man when it first came out? Do you like it now? How many times?
I didn't think I would like Iron Man when it first came out.
Around 2008, we were like 13, 14 years old, and I saw the trailer for Iron Man,
I was 20.
and he looked cool. So I was excited. I saw the movie, and I loved it. To this day, it's one of my favorite Marvel films. I think it's very grounded and down to earth. Robert Downey Jr., as far as I'm concerned, he is Iron Man. He is Tony Stark. Like, that character and him are just one person.
Yeah.
There's no difference
That's
in my
why
mind.
he charges $80 million a movie now.
Oh my God, he's making like so much money doing
So
this
much
movie.
money.
But
Worth
Iron
it.
Man, to me, kicked off the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a bang, and very few movies have been able to match it since then for me.
Very few Marvel movies or just movies in
Marvel
general?
movies,
Okay.
yeah.
Iron Man established a world and this amazing, insanely deep character a genius who's a bit of a jerk.
Yeah,
Actually, a lot of a jerk in the beginning.
an eccentric. Yeah,
Eccentric playboy billionaire philanthropist, as he says.
I think that's what he calls it. Yeah,
Avengers.
but he's missing jerk. That's the fifth one he would use.
Yeah. So it was awesome. It's a really well done film. It just, again, it establishes this entire universe, essentially. It's the first movie in this universe.
Yeah, it kicks off the
It
whole
ties in
superhero
really
thing.
well. A lot of great characters. Jeff Bridges is an awesome villain.
Oh
We
yeah.
get Robert Downey Jr. is amazing with this character. John Favreau is happy. He's great.
And his directing in this movie was awesome.
Oh yeah,
They directed this movie with like a barely finished script. Like just
that
it
never
was
happened.
it was like a disaster to put together, but it was a great team.
They
Everyone worked
killed
together
it.
wonderfully, and it was a great start to the cinematic universe. Followed almost immediately by 2 months later, The Incredible Hulk, starring not Mark Ruffalo, but
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton
He
used
was
to be the Hulk.
He was Bruce Banner.
So I saw this one when it first came out.
Liv
and
Tyler.
I really liked it. Again, I was 13, 14, so the 12, 13, 14. So this action, like, to a 13-year-old, to a brand new teenager, was awesome. The Hulk smashing things up. You got to see him fight the Abomination. I loved it. Tim just saw that movie.
I saw that movie for the first time today, and I liked it. I didn't think the action was as amazing because I had seen all of the other Marvel movies.
Yeah, you've seen what's happened
but
since, right?
It was good action, and Edward Norton's character was good. It's just a solid. It's just a good plot.
It really explores the struggle and the dark side of being the Hulk.
It's a nice, straightforward plot with some intricacies, some good relationships, and a little bit of character growth.
Yeah, because again, it like being the Hulk isn't a ho hum thing. At any moment, this like other being
Yeah.
could take over and just cause havoc. And Edward Norton played that really well, I thought.
If you really like seeing Edward Norton in the fetal position, go watch this movie.
Yeah, he's hurting a lot in this
He
one.
crouches a lot.
I wasn't a huge fan of the love story, but I mean, I understand it
Yeah.
being integral to the plot. Abomination was cool at the end, but
Yeah.
again, not a very exciting villain. He gets spoiler. He gets beat down.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Did you like the end fight? Was the action cool for you?
It was pretty cool.
Were you more of a fan? Because Marvel movies have been heavy on the comedy and the action we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Were you more of a fan of the action and even smaller comedic moments in this movie, or was
I
that
didn't
like
think
dramatic?
the movie was funny.
No?
And I didn't think it needed to be.
But yeah,
I didn't see really much humor in it. I just thought it was cool. I liked the scientist that he ends up meeting. I thought he
Mr.
had
Blue?
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Blue. I thought he had a cool role.
that was cool. Do you prefer the Edward Norton now that you've seen it, or the Mark Ruffalo?
It's tough. They're just made so differently. Like Edward Norton is just this serious actor, this serious dramatic guy who happens to have like a tiny bit of action, whereas Mark Ruffalo is more of like a comedic, sarcastic guy with, again, mostly action.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is definitely more leisurely and laid back.
But I mean, he's kind of mopey.
That could be a result of a guy who's more used to
Yeah.
this. He's done it for a while now, and he realizes, again, like you said, I'm always angry. He kind of realizes how to tone it in.
And they do show that at the end of the Hulk.
Mhm.
So
You do see his progression towards that. I kind of prefer the Edward Norton Hulk. I think Edward Norton's portrayal of Bruce Banner was more interesting.
it's just, I think Mark Ruffalo looks a lot more like the Hulk. But I agree that Edward Norton, I think, plays the character a little better.
Interesting thing, Mark Ruffalo, they use facial capture on him, so the Hulk
Yeah.
is meant to look just like Mark Ruffalo.
They didn't do that with Edward Norton.
Edward Norton is just a CG Hulk, and his Hulk looks fine. It's kind of dated CG, 8 years, but it still looks good.
I
8
think
years
it
later.
looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Seen it today?
So following
bad.
the Hulk, at the end of the Hulk, we get a little bit of a tease, and again with that end of Iron Man, we get a little bit of a tease of an Avengers being assembled. And at the end of the Hulk, we get Robert Downey Jr. saying, "Yo, we're thinking about recruiting the Hulk." And then the immediate film we get after that, not immediate, but 2 years later, we got
Yeah.
Iron Man 2.
That's decades by today's standards.
Yeah, it was a while because Marvel's cranking them out 2-3 movies a year.
Boom, 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 movie,
And this was
money, money, money.
one movie in 2 years. That's
Give me money.
shows how far we've come, really.
Well, Hulk didn't make a lot of money. So
Yeah, Hulk wasn't the financial success they'd hoped, but Iron Man 2 was pretty good. I know a lot of people have problems with this, and it's probably lower
it's
on a lot
so
of people's
good.
lists. I think the action was fun. Whiplash isn't used
I
to his
love
full potential, but
Whiplash.
he's fun to watch on screen.
Mickey Rourke is amazing.
Mickey
in this
Rourke is
movie.
cool. We get to see War Machine finally, which was
Yeah.
nice because they mention it in Iron Man 1. Terrence Howard's like, maybe one day.
They replaced Terrence Howard with
That's
Don
another
Cheadle.
replacement, yeah.
I was disappointed with the end fight. Did not like it.
The ending was
It was
kind of weak, yeah. And they did try to shoehorn a lot of Avengers stuff in there, which I think bogged
Yeah.
down the plot for people. But for
But
me,
you got to meet Phil Coulson,
we met
the
him.
best Shield agent.
Yeah, we met him in Iron Man, and this one you get to see him grow as a more interesting character, which is
Yeah.
cool. And at the time, I was excited to know that Avengers movie was happening.
Yeah, that's true. I think at that point.
So
it was
those little
finalized.
nuggets of Avengers did get me very excited. I know I can see how it bogs down the plot. I haven't seen it in a while. Have you seen Iron Man 2 recently?
Not in a couple years.
So it's hard for me
But-
to really say how I feel about it now. Now that I know what comes after.
Yeah.
At the time, it was a tease for things to come, and
But-
younger me was like, "Yes, please."
One thing I did like about that movie, other than the awesome villain, was his relationship, Robert Downey Jr.'s relationship with Pepper Potts. It kind of grew a lot. In the first one, she was like an Alfred, pretty much, kind of his secretary, and now they're like in a relationship and they really care about each other, and it's nice to see that.
Yeah, you could see him trying to better himself for
you
her.
can just see throughout the
Although-
movies Tony Stark growing as a person.
Yeah, you see him growing. Although when he meets when he meets Black Widow, he goes a little bit wishy-washy. He's like, "Yo, she's kind of cute."
And then she's like, back off.
Yeah,
It's
then
like,
then
okay.
we realize she's a secret agent,
Yeah.
spy, whatever it is.
Oh, that's true.
But that was their introduction to Black Widow
Oh, yeah,
again,
Black
which
Widow
was really
was
cool.
introduced
Yeah,
in that
because
movie.
they were trying to set up this Avengers universe. I guess the 2 years they took between Hulk and Iron Man, they realized they had something on their hands here.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
And then with growing the Avengers universe, 1 year later we got Thor, which I did not like when
Was
it came
Thor
out.
before Captain America?
Thor was before Captain America, and I
Oh.
did not like that movie when it came out. I think
I
I was
liked
bored.
it a lot when it came out, and I've liked it less since.
I'm the exact opposite. Since I think I've seen it once or twice since it came
Yeah,
out,
same.
and I've liked it more. I appreciate it more. It's kind of funny. Chris
Yeah, it's-
Hemsworth is a good choice for Thor.
Yeah,
He plays kind of like a dopier guy, but
Mhm.
like when business comes to the table, he can handle that
he's
business.
like a dopey, like really honorable guy.
Mhm.
Like he has what he believes in, and he sticks to it no matter what, which is nice.
Yeah, you see him grow as a character and become more
Like,
mature.
He would never stab anyone's back.
And that's when we meet Loki too, who is the
The
villain of this
opposite.
movie. Yeah, and we think he's dead, but he comes back later. But Thor, I think, was a good introduction to the character.
Yeah, it wasn't
think
bad.
I
There
w-
was some decent action.
Mhm.
Again, it was a little slow. Like they tried to tie his thing with like Natalie Portman and Kat Dennings into the human world, and it works, kinda.
I want to say Kenneth Branagh directed this movie, and he has more Shakespearean roots. Yeah, he has more of a Shakespearean roots, and I think that's when the slower love romantic kind of
Yeah.
things come into play.
Was
Because it is a
too
familial,
mushy.
it is a familial drama at parts.
Yeah,
So I see Kenneth Branagh's like touch in that, but Thor I thought was cool.
yeah, it wasn't bad.
So moving on from Thor, we had Captain America,
The
the
first
first
Avenger.
Avenger.
Hated it when I first saw it.
Yeah,
Did not like it. I thought it was the most boring thing on the planet when I first saw it. I have since reneged that opinion. I like it. It's pretty good.
it's a nice introduction to Captain America.
Yeah,
You
like
get-
it just makes you feel for his character so much seeing that
you get
intro.
to see a side of his softness, but his bravery. I didn't see it till the end of 2011, and I remember it being like one of my favorite movies of 2011. I've seen movies since then that came out that year that were better, but at the time I thought it was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I like the 40s feel of it. The movie looked
40s
great.
feel is cool.
Yeah, the movie looked great. The characters were fun. It was kind of cutesy wootsy seeing the Red Skull, the Nazis versus the American hero. It had a very much of a nostalgic 40s World War II kind of vibe. I don't know if that's the right word, but
Yeah.
it fit the tone. It fit the era. And then the movie ends with Captain America in our times. And that's what I really liked was when you get to see a shift from his ideologies from the early 40s kind of style of thinking to now. And it's really interesting seeing that character leave everything he's known behind and just be in this new world. So I thought it was a great introduction to Captain America.
Time for the Avengers.
Yeah, the first Avenger becomes part of the Avengers in 2012. That movie was game changing.
Yeah. Made a lot of money.
It did make a lot of money, and it's the first time we saw all these like really cool superheroes come together.
It was like a lot.
Yeah,
It was a
At the
lot of
time.
things happening.
yeah. Little did we know Civil War and Justice League and all
Yeah,
these
right.
things would come out and pretty much blow it out of the water in terms of characters. But seeing all these characters from different movies start tying in, working together, or even fighting together, it was very interesting to watch. When I first saw it, I loved this movie. It still is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I don't know if it's number one, but it's up there. The character interactions were awesome. Joss Whedon did a great job. The movie was funny. A lot of the characters were quippy and had good dialogue together.
There were a lot of cool fights in between the Avengers, which I really liked.
Like their egos pretty much clashing.
Yeah, like it happens in every Avengers movie, but it's nice to see that there's going to be problems when all these people have so much power and dominance from where they're originally from, and then everyone is just as strong or stronger than they are.
Yeah, they're all trying to prove themselves to be the better one of the team.
And I do like that even the not-so-main characters had all been in a movie beforehand. Like Hawkeye was in Thor.
Everyone's had time to grow, right? You're not really introducing anyone new. And I like
Black
that
Widow was in Iron Man 2.
Robert Downey Jr., who was Marvel's star child, pretty much. He didn't get the lead in this movie. You didn't get too much of Robert Downey Jr. and not enough of everybody else.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really a lead.
I feel like every character was treated fairly.
Because like Captain America and Iron Man kind of took turns being the leader, but nobody really led too much over the other.
Yeah, everyone had equal-ish screen time, and they've like worked together well. The characters meshed really awesomely, really greatly. I don't know. It was an awesome movie. And the fight at the end is one of those portal opened up into the sky kind of endings. But I think it was one of the first ones to do it, and it was fun at the time.
I think Transformers did it the year.
It's a popular ending. A big city with a portal in the sky and evil things, but Avengers did it well.
Yeah.
So what came after the Avengers?
Iron Man 3.
3 is correct, yeah.
Right? People hated the twist. There's a twist.
There's a big twist in that movie if you haven't seen.
I thought it was cool.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was a really funny twist, but
interesting.
It does hurt the ending. It was nice seeing the twist because it was something different and unique, which again I always like from Marvel.
I loved this movie when I first saw it because of the action moments. Like his house gets just totally blown up. This nice rich house, giant mansion that you've come to love, just gets blown to smithereens. He loses everything, and then he has a bunch of Iron Man suits at the end. So I thought all that stuff
work
was
together,
really
right?
cool.
They all work together.
I saw it a second time and noticed a lot of the flaws in the movie.
Yeah, the first time seeing it in theaters, I was having a Marvel high, essentially. You could call it, and I was like, "This is great. This is awesome."
It had been
I had
like
just seen the
entire
Avengers.
year.
Yes, since we've seen the Avengers. I was ready for the next story. But looking back on it, it is honestly a flawed movie. Not a bad movie still, but it does have its flaws. But I do like.
There's a lot of things that, like a lot of plot holes.
I do like the more character moments we get of Tony Stark. It
like
is
when
more,
he's in like the field in Kansas or wherever.
when he's with the kids, or when he's when he's involved with trying to get Pepper's love, and he's trying to like make himself a better person. It was very much
trying to like not die.
A Tony Stark movie over an Iron Man movie. Yeah, which is nice. And then that year we also had Iron Man 3 immediately followed by Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
Did you like that one?
Thor and Loki. Loki Strikes Back.
Loki again. That's Loki's third appearance.
Yeah.
Loki's a pretty
Tom
popular
Hiddleston's
character. He's a good choice for Loki, I think. He's a good He's a bad Loki. I think he's a horrible guy.
Yeah, he sucks.
You think anyone thinks that? You think anyone thinks he's a bad Loki? Yeah.
There's always going to be haters.
I think there's people probably getting sick of him at this point.
I bet you he like accidentally pushed a kid in high school or something, and that guy's like, "Oh, I hate Tom Hiddleston. He's such a bad Thor.
Yeah.
He's the worst. He's the worst Loki that there's ever been."
Pissed someone off along the way.
Yeah.
But it is nice. That movie is 2013, and we haven't seen Loki since. I think it was a nice breathing room because I could see Loki getting stale, having seen him 3 times in 2 years.
He's a good character, but I think he could have been overplayed, and I'm glad they didn't.
I'm glad they held off on him, but that movie was fun. I had a fun time watching that movie. It's not.
Again, it's another one that suffered in the second viewing.
Yeah, plot-wise, it isn't something spectacular, really.
I thought the plot was pretty cool, but again, there's like they try to be really interesting and like, oh my god, that just happened, and then you're like, wait, how did that happen? There's kind of like
like the villain's how is that possible? Motivation and their powers were kind of weird, and the story wasn't that intricate, but it had like all these.
The action's pretty cool.
Flowing.
Again, I think the thing that hurts the Thor movies the most is the human interaction.
You like the more Asgardian stuff versus the Natalie Portman.
Like stuff. I think you could contain an entire like intricate relationship in the Asgardian things if you didn't.
I would have honestly in that movie liked him and one of the female warriors to be more of a love interest than Natalie Portman. Really,
Like that's why
It
I
kind of
like,
slows the movie down, I thought.
Yeah.
What about you?
because I think all of the Asgardians they just make so like one-sided. They don't make them deep at all. They're just very shallow characters. Even Thor is pretty like he's a good character, but he's shallow. Like there's not a lot to him. That's why Loki helps so much because Loki has some layers because he's not technically Asgardian.
Right.
But yeah, the movie was fun.
It was fun. I think 2013 was the year of like not great story wise, but
Yeah.
fun movies. But
It
then
was fun action stuff. They had to follow
2014 hit.
Avengers with something.
Yeah, 2014 hit, and that's the year when Marvel really felt more mature. Because what did we get? We got Captain America: The Winter Soldier,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was a much more mature movie. Unlike the
Yeah.
last Captain America, it was less bright and cheery and more grounded in our current political climate and our current problems. And
Yeah.
it was a very modern political
It
type
was
movie.
the first Marvel movie that kind of had me on the edge of my seat, like story wise, as far as like, oh my god, what's gonna
Yeah, the
happen?
story was interesting. The
Like,
characters were exciting.
It had a lot of great action too, but the thing was the story was so hero or action fans would like it, like drama fans would enjoy it, like
Yeah.
people just looking
It
for
was
a good,
Marvel
like,
going.
mystery or-
Marvel kind of went darker, not
Yeah,
fully
it
dark,
was
but they went
dark.
darker, more adult.
It was really exciting.
Yeah.
Just a really, really well done.
You get to
movie.
see a little bit more of Captain America adjusting to modern
Yeah.
life and modern rules and modern
like
government.
he's growing, and the same thing for Black Widow is kind of more adjusting to life too.
Yeah, she's
like,
becoming
calming
less of
down.
the rebel and more of a person trying to do good and make up for her sins. And then while Captain America's trying to adjust to modern life, he's given a piece of his past with Bucky, who is
Bucky
also
Barnes.
wildly different. He's playing the titular Winter Soldier. Yeah, he was cool. He doesn't get much to say, but he was an interesting character. It was nice seeing his villainy and then him and Captain America's brotherly interaction.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, so it was one of Marvel's better movies at that point.
Absolutely.
It was like another rise to fame, another just rise of quality. I thought better quality story, better characters, better characterization. The directors they brought on, the Russo brothers, did a fantastic job. I
Very
think
good job.
previously they had directed some stuff like Community and Yumi and Dupree. So moving from a comedy to a really well made
Directed
action.
Captain America 2 and 3.
Yeah, they really jumped into that action niche, and I think having brothers direct kind of two people talking kind of helps.
Yeah.
You get two opinions, especially if they're both talented. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, we talked about
Yeah,
earlier.
right.
The Russo brothers, or even John Wick had two directors, which I'm sure is why the movie came out great. And then Marvel followed it up with one of,
Boom, boom,
like the most fun, recognizable
Come
what
and
was
get
it?
your love. Boom-de-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Guardians of the Galaxy. That movie was. All right, let me tell you what the
Incredible.
movie's about. It's about a human who's been growing up in space.
Yeah.
Who befriends a green woman who is one of the adopted daughters or the daughters of Thanos, one of the main villains of the Marvel universe.
He's
Along the way,
Big Daddy.
They meet
of
Drax the
Marvel.
Destroyer, which is Batista, a former WWE wrestler who plays this guy who's lost his family to Thanos and his crew, and he's just angry. And
A talking raccoon.
again, they also befriend a duo which features a talking raccoon,
Voiced by Bradley Cooper.
voiced by Bradley Cooper, and a barely talking tree,
A
voiced
giant
by
tree.
Vin Diesel.
I am Groot.
And they venture through space trying to pretty much solve one problem, which is Ronan the Accuser. So just hearing that plot,
Ronan
Raccoon,
the
tree,
Accuser.
Human in Space, Green Lady, Batista from WWE, Marvel movie, you didn't think this movie would be successful. And the whole soundtrack
People
is
love space.
pretty much just songs from the 70s, maybe early 80s, smashed together.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be one of the best movies of that year.
Best movies I've ever seen.
Ever seen, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whoa, that's going to bode well for your top your top of the Marvel list. Huh?
I mean, well, I didn't say that the other ones weren't.
Oh, so they could also be one of the best movies you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So
Some of them, a lot of them are.
I'm gonna assume from that statement you really love Guardians of the Galaxy.
I liked it a lot. Also, greatest villain name of all time, Ronan the Accuser.
That is a cool name, and he had a cool design. He had a cool character
Yeah.
design. His character wasn't very fleshed out, but just he was a menacing
I was
presence.
like, what is he accusing me of? I don't know. I could go to
With his
jail.
big
He could
hammer, he'd
kill me.
point at you. So that was a fun Marvel movie. The soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt really shined as this action star with a lot of comedy.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
It was really funny, but it wasn't funny to the point where you couldn't take the movie seriously.
Oh,
You
yeah.
still felt for the characters. You still
Mhm.
felt the plot had meaning, and it fit really well into the Marvel universe.
Action was
introducing.
good. The story was good. It was funny. Like, it was just so well done.
It had
The
more of
shots
the
were cool.
Infinity
It was
Gems, so
pretty.
It doesn't really mention the Avengers beyond the Infinity
No.
Gems, which ties them together.
It doesn't.
It was well
mention them.
shot, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any particular scenes you remember being just like stunning in your mind?
The first one.
The opening,
No, not the very opening when they introduce like little kid Star Lord, but
when
after
Star Lord's
that,
going
he's
through the
trying to-
cave,
when he
finding the
originally
relic.
steals the gem, and you just hear what I just sang, "Come and get your love." I was like, I'm hooked. This is my favorite movie.
That was a great
Done.
shot. I definitely agree with that one. That was a great sense of scope too when you see him in this like ginormous cave looking for the relic. One of my favorite shots is when they're flying towards that skull planet, and you see the intricate design of all these like lowly, scummy people.
Like when they're just kind of on the edge of the ship, and you just see out into space.
When they're going to the planet where they're looking for the collector. The collector's home
Okay.
planet. That was a really nice shot, and it was just creative and very intricately designed.
all the space just looked so good.
It looked really good, right?
It looked awesome.
So that was 2014 Marvel. 2015 Marvel brought us another
the
Avengers movie.
2, Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Started the Avengers self-imploding series, essentially. Because Tony Stark and the Hulk create the villain in this one.
Yeah, that's when you really get to see how the Avengers previously they brought good to the world.
Yeah.
But then you see maybe they also bring some bad. Maybe they're not what we thought they would be.
Yeah.
But the movie wasn't bad. I didn't think.
No.
It's
I
not,
thought it was awesome when I first saw it.
When I saw the trailers, I expected it to be a lot darker. I expected Ultron to be this dark, menacing villain. He was more of a Tony Stark clone.
Yeah. Thing is, there was a lot of build-up in this movie and a lot of things happening. Some of it didn't click for me. A lot of it did. Like, a lot of people have nightmares about the movies that they're going to be in next, like Thor specifically.
Yeah, it does. It's more of a setup movie for future Marvel movies.
Yeah, definitely.
And it doesn't focus as much on its own story, but the movie was enjoyable. The action was well made.
Yeah, action was really
Joss
good.
Whedon, I know, had a lot of problems making the movie or just a lot of stress, but I think he overcame it. Did a
Yeah,
good
he
job.
did a
Not
good
as good
job.
as the first Avengers, but he
Made
did a good
over
job.
$1 billion, so.
The money is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's another good addition to the Marvel series, and like I said, it sets up Civil War for us. It sets up Thor Ragnarok for us and Hulk's presence in that. It sets up potential storylines for other characters and even new characters it introduces. We get the twins, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Quicksilver, yeah. So that was another good 2015 entry. Followed by Age of Ultron, we had that summer. Was it the end of Phase 2?
The very end of Phase 2.
The end of Phase
The
2.
most surprising Marvel movie, I believe, since Iron Man, in my opinion. Ant-Man.
You were surprised by
By how good it was.
by how good it was.
Yeah,
okay.
again with Iron Man, like we didn't know what to expect, and kind of the same thing with Ant-Man. A lot of people didn't really know who he was unless you really read the comics, and I thought Ant-Man was awesome. It was really good.
I would put Ant-Man under Guardians for the one I was least expecting to be good. I thought Guardians would be worse.
Really?
Because Ant-Man was a character I'd heard of. People who follow the Marvel comics
Okay.
typically know Ant-Man to be a cool character. When they announced Paul Rudd was Ant-Man, I was a little bit iffy.
I was
'cause
skeptical too.
I imagine Ant-Man being this like very serious scientist, but beyond that, yeah, Ant-Man was really good. It was like shockingly good.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd did justice to the character. The movie
I think
was
Paul Rudd
pretty
was
funny.
Paul Rudd is always going to be Paul Rudd. There's just some actors that you can't escape. They're going to be similar characters, but I think he was the best version of Paul Rudd here.
Yeah, it was
So,
one of his
Like
best.
he
roles.
was funny. He was not like overly comedic, like just dopey in general. In fact, I think he was really dopey in Civil War, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I think he played
he had a nice
a
fleshed out
dramatic
character.
actor. Yeah, he was very fleshed
He
out.
has problems and he has interesting life situations and he grows. He character that from beginning to end he grows.
I think Michael Douglas is fantastic in this movie. I hadn't really watched much of his movies prior to
Yeah,
that.
he's
but
always good.
I
He's
thought
always
he
great.
was awesome. So maybe it was just standard Michael Douglas, but he was my favorite character in the movie. Michael Pena is the comedic relief that they didn't really need, but he was still hilarious.
Yeah, he was funny. It's a
And-
nice bit of comedy.
And I like the villain too. I forget his name, but like the Wasp, he was
the
awesome.
Wasp. Yeah.
I mean his actual name.
His motivations were intriguing enough.
Yeah, I thought his
He was hurt by Michael Douglas's character, and that's kind of why he's evil. It was fine.
Like everything in that movie made sense. It was really well contained.
I liked everything about that movie. And then the next time we see Ant-Man, like you just mentioned, was the most recent Marvel film that's on DVD.
That's currently
it's not Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
was Captain America: Civil War.
There's a lot of things in this movie and a lot of superheroes and people, and it worked.
Before that, Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
I was definitely Team Cap.
Team Cap, really? I was Team Iron Man.
I'm the only person I know that was Team Cap, but I loved, and I'm generally more on the Iron Man side of most things, but I just appreciated Cap's motivations in this movie and his non-trusting of entities that have hurt him in the past.
Like the government or people who try to rule over.
Yeah. And S.H.I.E.L.D. and all them.
I kind of understood his motivations, but I thought Iron Man's mind was more in the right place.
I can see. I understand why most people picked Iron Man.
But overall,
I just didn't, during the movie, it didn't feel that way.
Right. The Russo brothers are back on this one. It's their second movie, but it's the third Captain America movie. I think stitching together all these plot points and all these characters and just having a story that feels complete was a really tough job, and they did a really good job at making this movie. Again, this is another one of my favorite Marvel movies because it does explore something a little bit different, a little bit darker, and the action's good.
About the actual consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they touched on it in Ultron, but then you kind of see how all of that actually affected people.
One of the problems was the stakes within the movie. I didn't feel were all there because these characters, nobody died, I expected something monumental. Yeah, well, hopefully you've seen it. If not, you could win a copy and watch it yourself.
Yeah.
I expected something more monumental, but the more you think about it, the consequences come in later movies, hopefully. Yeah. When you see the divide of this team and how they're not all they were supposed to be.
They've always had a little tension between each other, and now I think the tension just grew more.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a lot of tension between a lot of different characters. And this movie had a tough job of trying to introduce 2 or 3 new superheroes while also tying in most of the ones we've already seen in the last 12 movies.
And giving them all something to do.
Yeah, something to do, a purpose, a team, a side, a personality, a reason to be there.
Right. So again,
it was a tough job, and I think it was really well done. Not perfect.
Yeah, not perfect. It's definitely flawed, but it's another great entry from Marvel, and they know how we felt about Doctor Strange, so now it's time for us to kind of give a ranking of what we think is best to worst as far as Marvel movies go.
All right, you want to start at number 14?
Number 4. What do you think?
What would be your 14th? What is your least favorite of the amazing Marvel movies?
I'm probably gonna have to go with the first Thor.
Put it on the board.
Yeah, first
Thor
is
would be mine as
favorite.
well.
Yeah,
it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's just the least good.
The least good is
the
Thor.
Least intriguing.
And we're both talking about the first one, right?
Just Thor.
It wasn't bad, but it didn't hook me completely. Yeah. It was like Kenneth Branagh movies. It was very Shakespearean and just kind of lost me. And the human interactions were a little too goofy at times.
I was like, it was pretty good. It was fun to watch.
Thor
I liked it.
The bottom of my list. What do you put slightly better than Thor? What do you think?
Thor 2.
Thor 2. Oh, Thor's getting the short end of the stick. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that one. Thor 2, again, kind of fun to watch, but not really perfect. And Thor's character was interesting.
Yeah.
But not a great movie.
Yeah.
Not a perfect Marvel movie. All right, well, beyond Thor, what I would put slightly better than Thor 2 is a movie that a lot of people also don't like as much, and the more I think about it, I don't either. I think Iron Man 2 would be my number 12. Do you agree with that at all?
I totally disagree.
No?
I would put Doctor Strange there.
You put Doctor Strange there. Where would you put Iron Man 2 then?
Iron Man 2 is like right in the middle for me, right around 7. I think 8.
8? So I'm saying 12. You're saying 8. That gives us a number 10.
10. But wait, I think we should see what we might want to put at 12 first.
Let's fill 10.
Okay, let's fill 10.
12, you're thinking Doctor Strange.
That's where I would put Doctor Strange.
You know, honestly, I was going to put Doctor Strange probably around 11.
11?
I'll bargain with you.
You'll bargain?
I'll give you Doctor Strange for 12.
Yeah.
If somewhere down the line, maybe you'll bargain with me.
Okay, we'll have to see.
Okay, so Doctor Strange, good, not great, better than Thor, worse than Iron Man 2. I'll buy that.
I agree with that.
So So what's a little bit better than Doctor Strange in your mind?
In my mind, Captain America: The First Avenger.
The First Avenger. Oh, I really like that movie. I don't know if I could put it
I
that
think
low.
it was well done, but I still think it was a little boring at times. And I and also it's not a take like a rip on Captain America, but I just think the movies, there are at least 10 movies better than
The overall experience didn't
yeah.
fit Marvel's best.
I think there were a lot of really good Marvel movies. It's like not a jab at Captain America. It's just you don't have to do that. If you liked it a lot better, we can put Captain America right there.
I'm agreeing only because I'm thinking about it and I can't think of anything else to be worse than Iron Man 2. I don't think Captain America is really worse than Iron Man 2, but if we're coming to middle ground, that's the only movie I can see fitting that spot.
Okay.
So now we have
That's
a 10. What's I think a little bit better than Iron Man 2 was Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I would think Iron Man. Yeah, I would put Iron Man 3
Because
there.
Iron Man 2 focuses on several different stories, where Iron Man 3 is really the focus of Tony Stark, which is interesting.
I did enjoy it a lot. I don't know if I would put that worse than Hulk though.
Yeah.
Like I have Hulk and Iron Man 3 just in my mind. Like I could settle with you. I could put Iron Man 3 at 9.
Wow. I wasn't really the Hulk. I enjoyed. I like the characterization of Bruce Banner.
Like there wasn't a whole lot of action. It wasn't a deep movie. Again, it was solid, and wasn't funny either. I didn't think. Not that a superhero movie needs to be funny, but
could we have a tie? We might have a tie for number.
That's what you're thinking?
I guess
I'll put
8 and
Iron
9's
Man 3 below Hulk. Hulk I think was more original.
Hulk. Yeah, Hulk was another one of the early Marvel movies that I thought was successful and kind
I
of
think
helped
it was well done.
push.
So we could put Iron Man 3 at 9, Hulk at 8.
the other movies. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
So we've named a few. Now we're at
We're at
spot
the top half.
number 7. Yeah, we're at the
Top
better
half
half of
of
Marvel movies.
Already really good movies. So
All, like we mentioned earlier, all Marvel has cranked out has been at the very least good, and I really hope DC can pull it together and do something.
yeah,
good for
like
us.
it's not like I don't like the DC superheroes. I just think they have been done poorly in the past, especially
I'm
recently.
gonna agree with you. Yeah,
Because I didn't like Batman vs Superman at all. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I liked the Dark Knight trilogy a lot. I'm very hopeful for Wonder Woman. Let's pull it together, DC.
so coming back to our list, we're in the better half, which is where it's hard to like kind of rank.
Yeah,
So the better half. Let's see what we still have left. We have Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
We have Avengers 1 and 2.
Yes.
We have the first Iron Man. We have Captain America's 2 and 3.
and we have We said Ant-Man.
We said Ant-Man. So that's 7. We're at 7.
And Guardians.
And Guardians. Guardians definitely is not number 7 for me.
It is not 7.
Can you agree on that one?
We can agree on something for once.
Hmm.
I have a 7.
What is
I have
your
a 7
7
in mind.
Give me your 7.
Ultron. Avengers: Age of Ultron is my number 7.
Of the movies we named, I agree. Ultron is not better than any of the other 6.
I think it's close between my number 6 and 7, but of Age of Ultron would be my 7th.
Ultron had sloppy bits. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
What did I like? Like we said, it sets up a lot for future movies, but
Yeah, it's
as
again,
a
it's not.
standalone movie, it just
It has a lot of action in it. It's cool. It's just.
I think it fits being right around the middle because it's kind of its own movie, but kind of other movies
Yeah.
right in the middle.
certainly.
So what's better than Age of Ultron? Do you have a list for number? Do you have an
There are
item
6
for number
movies
6?
better than Age of Ultron.
What's
Which one do
the
you want me to
6th one
pick? The 6th one?
on your list?
Ant-Man. Again, I don't think there's much separating 5 through 7, but
it is a very short separation.
there's a reason why my 5 is better than the other 2. But
What's your number 5? I want to hear it.
Captain America: Civil War.
Civil War.
I think Civil War is better than Ultron because most of the movie feels like Ultron, just a little bit bigger until the ending, which I think blows anything from Ultron out of the water.
Again, they're both movies with huge stakes originally, and they come back to this.
Mm-hmm. They're similar movies. So Ant-Man I think fits.
I think
right around
Ant-Man was a nice, tight, small story, and Civil War was actually a huge, big
there. And I
scoping
think they
story.
were both done equally well, which is why I would put the one with more stakes, kind of.
I'd put
higher.
Ant-Man above Civil War, honestly.
I can accept that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're pretty close.
Again, Ant-Man is this character they haven't done yet, and it's a small stakes movie of just them trying to steal plans or whatever it was. Not even plans, but like some material from this lab. It was a fun heist movie.
Yeah, it was a
And
really
Civil
good
War was
heist
really
movie.
okay.
I
So
can accept that.
down at
Ant-Man in
number
the top 5.
6, we have Captain America: Civil War. So I typed this out. You can tell us what 4 movies you still have left.
The 4 movies I have left in order of when they came out: Iron Man,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me,
Ooh.
The Avengers, Captain America: Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm gonna say right off the bat, of those 4, I liked Winter Soldier the least.
The least.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, again, a more mature Marvel movie, but as far as enjoyment goes, Guardians of the Galaxy was more fun. Iron Man was a great introduction to the series, and Avengers was an awesome tie-in of all these characters we've known for 4 years at that point.
I agree with all those statements, but I just think those other 3 movies stood out in some way, shape, or form more than the Avengers. Maybe not at the time, but I think as far as holding up right now, the Avengers is not as good as those other 3.
Is that because they all deal with just their own stories instead of tying together?
I think they all just have something really good about them that we discussed. Like Winter Soldier has great action and an amazing story. Iron Man just sets up this amazing world and character. And Guardians of the Galaxy, you know my opinions. I absolutely love everything about it.
I'm going to pull my bargaining chip in on this one.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm
going
going
to go Winter Soldier 4.
I'm going to have to go Winter Soldier 4.
I see why people like Avengers. It's a lot of people's favorite Marvel movie. I'm okay with that. I think it's very well done. It just doesn't hook me as well as those other 3.
Well, that's part of bargaining, is figuring out. Oh, we're covering your face here. Let's move this
over here. I can lean.
Now we got it.
Okay,
it's one of the tough parts of being a 2-man crew and trying to produce a show. But we're down to 3 movies. We argued that The Avengers was slightly better than Winter Soldier, so I think we're gonna have to put that in at number 3. And now it's the tough part.
Now it's a fight.
Now it's a fight
because we both used our bargaining chips.
Now it's a fight for number 1. We've both used our freebie.
Yeah.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy versus Iron Man. I'm gonna start us off. I'm gonna vote Iron Man as my number 1.
I'm gonna vote Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I'm saying Iron Man because it is the movie that without it, we wouldn't have a Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the one that had to kick everything off just right for every other piece to fall into place. And
I'm not thinking of it as a tie-in, though. I'm thinking of it just as one single movie.
As a single movie?
If you want me to pick your side, you're going to have to make a better argument than that. As a single movie, why is it better?
As a single movie, it's better because we're introduced to this brash, cocky, billionaire, philanthropist, playboy, whatever he was.
Peter Quill.
Tony Stark. And Tony Stark is just, again, this jerk who we grow with him. We see why he becomes this superhero, a guy who becomes this selfish guy who creates this awesome invention. And it's a cool character piece. You see him grow from beginning to end. It's a nice character arc, I guess, not a character piece. And like I said, it kicks everything off. Tony Stark was the perfect Iron Man. No one else could do it. And it's just a movie that all the pieces fell into place perfectly. So Iron Man is my vote for number 1. But you're saying Guardians. Why is that?
My vote is Guardians. It was funnier. Was Iron Man in space? How much space was Iron Man in?
Were the Guardians on planet Earth, though? The greatest planet in the universe.
They were on a planet that looked like planet Earth.
They were actually on planet Earth in the beginning.
Oh, that's true. They were in planet Earth.
Too many characters, though. Iron Man, we get to focus on Tony Stark, and he's awesome.
And Jon Favreau.
He's barely in it. But you got a 5-person team who is fighting for the spotlight, but continue. I'll let you continue.
And it's just such a big atmosphere, and a lot of things happen, and it works. But I'm going to concede.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to concede.
No way.
Yeah, as a total movie, I definitely enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy better.
But
I would say as a feature film, as a standalone movie, it is slightly better, Iron Man.
If you took out the soundtrack and you took out the crazy effects.
I would go see Ion Man, though. That would be fun.
Ion Man?
Yeah.
It's Ant-Man's buddy. We might see him in Ant-Man, too.
Yeah.
Little Adam Man and Iron Man.
All right, so 2017 has a big Marvel slate. We get 3 more movies in 2017. We get Thor Ragnarok in November. In May, we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I could not be more excited.
That looks good.
And we get Spider-Man. Is it just called Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Homecoming, I think.
Spider-Man Homecoming, with the new Spider-Man from Captain America Civil War, and his aunt is Marissa Tomei, so that's pretty nice.
So we'll see where those 3 movies rank next year.
Yeah.
Probably next November we'll do a top 17, something
Top 17,
like that.
yeah.
Hopefully Thor the Ragnarok doesn't fall down with his
Brethren.
brethren in 14 and 13.
His brothers in battle.
I'm hoping Guardians of the Galaxy can match top 5 area with Guardians, the first one, and Spider-Man. I'm not sure what to expect yet.
I don't know.
I'm still reeling from the other 2 franchises.
I think it could be good.
Mm.
I'm sure it will be. It's Marvel.
With all of that said and done, we're moving on to the last segment of
Weekend
our show,
box office.
which is the weekend box office.
Boo!
So how it works is
A Madea
every week,
Halloween.
Boo Madea Halloween did gangbusters. So how it works is every week we kind of pick our top 5. We score each other against that, and we tell you what was in the top 5, top 10 the previous week and what's coming out this week. Since we're a little bit short on time, we're going to fly through it. Last week
We had the same top 5. We were wrong on every single one.
so we had a tiebreaker, which was we thought Inferno would be number 1,
Yeah.
and we each gave our numbers for
How much it would make.
how much
last
it would
week.
make, and whoever's closer would win.
I
Tim,
said
what was your guess?
28.
Tim, you did say 28 million, and I I said 32, which wasn't far off from yours.
Yeah.
But
And
how
it
much did the
made-
movie end up making?
It made 14.
It made 14, which is half of what you said,
Yeah.
but it is also closer to what you said.
I win.
So Tim, you won last week, but you don't get 5 points because you didn't get any of the 5 right. You get
Oh.
one whole ginormous point right there. So a quick overview: Boo Madea Halloween held on to the first spot,
Boo.
beating Inferno, which is Tom Hanks flopped to Madea. That's insane. We had
Yeah,
Inferno at
That's
number
really
2.
bad. The totals were so low this weekend.
It was I guess because
like
the
really low.
holiday maybe.
Yeah, I guess Halloween, I thought people would want to go out and see scary movies. Nobody saw any movies.
Medea, does that even count as scary? Honestly, Ouija was the
It's a
best
Halloween
horror movie at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ouija
So
made
Ouija was
nothing.
at number 5. At number 3 we
It
had
was so good, though.
Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, and number 4 was
The Accountant.
the Ben Affleck film, The Accountant.
Benny Boy.
So those movies are still in theaters. This week we have Doctor Strange, which please go see in theaters.
Just
If you
see
do
it.
see it in theaters, see it in 3D, but you don't have to see it in theaters. You could wait. It's not absolutely crucial.
Don't let Marvel hear you say that.
Please give us money, Marvel. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll go see the movie if
Go-
Marvel will pay
go
us a
see
lot
it.
of money.
Yeah. We paid a lot.
We
to
also
see
have
it. We liked it.
DreamWorks' new movie based on the toys from the 70s,
Trolls,
80s.
right?
Trolls. Yeah, they're big.
Haven't there been like 3 Trolls movies, like Box Trolls and all that stuff? I thought they were all based off
Troll
those
related,
Trolls.
yeah, but I think
But
this is
they-
the
this
first
is the
one
actual
based off
one?
the toy made by Hasbro. Even I don't know.
And if you've listened to the radio in the last 3 months, you've heard the Justin Timberlake song
Mhm.
that's about the Trolls movie.
Yeah, it's from the Trolls movie. It's been a hit all summer, and the movie's finally out.
Yeah.
The reviews are fine. I think it'll be a good family movie to go see. And in addition to that, we have Mel Gibson back in full form with Hacksaw Ridge, featuring our past Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield.
All of these movies have great reviews so far.
Everything is looking good. It's looking like a good weekend for film, but is it a good weekend in the box office? What's your predictions for top 5 starting from 5 through 1?
5 through 1. 5, I'm going to say number 5, The Accountant, still going to hold strong.
Okay.
Number 4, Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tom Cruise has got it. Number 3 is Boo, A Madea Halloween, still kicking strong.
Makes sense. Still
with like
pretty high up.
10 million. Number 2, I'm going to say the Trolls movie makes 30 million.
You think it's going to beat Doctor Strange?
No. Doctor Strange is going to make 55 million.
Oh, so you said number 2, right? For Trolls?
Yeah, Trolls is number 2.
So Doctor Strange at number 1. I'm agreeing with you on number 1, Doctor Strange. Number 2, Trolls. You didn't have Hacksaw Ridge
No, it's not a big
on your
time
list.
movie.
Number 3, Medea is still going to hold strong. I think Hacksaw Ridge, people might be interested enough in Mel Gibson, and the reviews are good enough.
I don't think it's releasing wide enough.
So it's going to be number 4 in my predictions. And my number 5, hopefully, Ouija's out. I'm going to say The Accountant. So Doctor Strange, Trolls, Boo, A Medea Halloween, Hacksaw Ridge, and The Accountant. So those are my top 5. Those are your top 5.
We have the same ones except for number 4. So let's see how that works.
Yeah, I think we do have a similar list. But those are our guesses for this week. That's our show for this week. Everyone, thank you for watching.
Thanks a lot, guys.
If you want to win Civil War, please remember to like, comment, subscribe.
Remember to consider this movie show weekly.
And we'll see you next week.
Live from New York, it's Friday night.
Ooh.
Consider Productions. Consider Pride.